I'd like to have a conversation on how having a life's mission may bring people together. Because developing a singular focus on one overriding objective is critical to the process of achieving singularity of purpose. And reaching that final goal was the most important thing for mgtow to do. Please take the time to read the email that mgtow recently sent me. It was just forwarded to me by my brothers, and I believe that it would be a wonderful opportunity for us to read it together. I would be grateful if you would allow me to share with you a recent observation that I've made regarding females. None of them appeared to have the level of ambition or concentration required to attain success in the outside world. It seems as though they are headed directly for the ground. I'd want to talk to you about an epiphany I had regarding women who rely on a wealthy man to subsidize their lifestyle and how I came to that realization. I say this because neither of my two most recent girlfriends had any notion what they wanted to do with their life, and this is representative of the women I've dated and even some of my friends. I've dated a lot of women, and some of them have no concept what they want to do with their lives. In spite of the fact that they were both attending college at the time that they provided me with an explanation, they stated that there were no concrete steps that could be taken in order to achieve such a life in the event that all other options were exhausted. All of their difficulties will be solved once they have tied the knot with the wealthy suitor who has been courting them. Even if nothing else goes according to plan, everything will turn out well. Everything will be all right even if absolutely nothing else goes according to plan. Although this is a challenge, it is reasonable to construct a backup plan and have faith in it. It is not only acceptable but also useful for a fighter pilot to eject from their plane as a last resort if they find themselves in a life-threatening situation. Having said that, that is valuable knowledge. You have the ability to create this buffer for yourself and the most successful and fruitful periods in your life, but the fact that you have a backup plan indicates that you were afraid to address the truth of the situation and that you had doubts about your ability to truly be successful. When there is a substantial change in the conditions of your life, when all other options have been exhausted, and when you are the only person who can see a road out, that is when tremendous achievements in human culture and history have been achieved. When there was no other course of action left to take, we found that the old saying that constraints breed ingenuity was indeed accurate. Remember the proverb, and heed its advice as much as you can. However, I will explain the nature of the singularity of aim as well as how it is connected to this matter. And in these times of greatest need, when you have no other option but to meet the barriers standing in your way, you will frequently find that you are the most fulfilled. This is because you have no choice but to face the challenges that are in front of you. Because depression is so widespread and because of its obvious significance to a wide variety of PICS communities, I'm going to offer you a shortened version of my own story. Actually, I was traveling on a major highway in the United States on my way back to school about a year ago when I had the idea for the movie that we are going to see today. This highway drive took 2 days, and despite the fact that I really needed to stop for something other than gas, I was determined not to pull off the road for anything else. Because there were so few gas stations in the state I was in and because I knew I wouldn't have time to refuel before it got dark, I made a commitment to drive as far as I could without stopping to get more gas. The travel that I would have to do to get to where I would be sleeping for the night would take me 2 days, and the first of those days was today. I so decided to take a chance, and approximately 20 minutes later, I found myself in the middle of a torrential downpour as well as a traffic jam. Keep in mind that I am currently somewhere out in the middle of nowhere when all of this is taking place. The warning light on my gas tank just illuminated as it reached a critically low level. According to my GPS, I won't have time to pull into a petrol station, and judging by how things are looking, that forecast is probably going to come true. My gas tank is getting increasingly low on fuel. There is a minor exit off to the side of the road that is coming up in approximately 1 mile's distance from where I am, and I am waiting for it. Consequently, I think to myself, perhaps there is a gas station around here somewhere. This exit sign will be visible to me approximately 1 mile away from here. On the other hand, it is impossible to forecast when any of them will occur. Where are the closest petrol stations, in the event that you require some? Despite the fact that the exits in this region of the United States are infamous for being deceptive and that my GPS was most likely not functioning properly, I was able to find a gas station thanks to a stroke of good luck. The horrible part is that when I eventually arrived, I was so overjoyed and elated that I actually felt like I had accomplished something, despite the fact that, of course, I hadn't done anything at all. But I guess I shouldn't complain too much because it's a first world problem and I don't have anything to complain about. The most worst case scenario has now come to pass. As soon as the rain stops falling, I get out of my car and walk to the shoulder of the road, where I wait for a few moments before dialing the number for AAA. When I don't make it to my scheduled break as quickly as I had wanted, the situation becomes much more difficult. If I hadn't been so caught up in the moment, everything would have turned out just well, but looking back on it and analyzing how my feelings were affected by the event, I can see that everything would have turned out just fine if I hadn't been so caught up in the moment. It dawned on me how wholly engrossed I was in the here and now. My thoughts were empty, and I was utterly indifferent about either the future or my past at that moment. These concepts, in addition to the personal ties I have established, did not begin with the sunrise hoodie. There was no trace of any of my worries, difficulties, hopes, or anxieties in that place. For me, the pinnacle of achievement is the capacity to live one's life in the current moment, and he was neither in the past nor in the future. There is nothing more satisfying or indicative of your potential for future success than having achieved that level of achievement and then experiencing those moments of total immersion in the here and now. I felt totally unrestricted when I pitched in college, despite the fact that it may sound like an unimportant event. There is nothing more satisfying or indicative of your potential for future success than having achieved that level of achievement. Since there was no way for anyone to get in touch with me, the issues I was having with my former partner, at work, and in school all took a temporary break while I had a fleeting moment of calm and solitude to myself. After giving some thought to the events in question, I came to this conclusion. The goal of your life should be to generate as many moments of mgtow meditation as possible, during which you are entirely at peace in the here and now. This should be your objective in life. Having this as your primary goal should be your top priority. You are able to tune out all of the background noise in your surroundings with the assistance of mgtow. It is much simpler to picture this taking place at this very now. The variables that are moving around you, the fact that you get to utilize Edward Norton's penguins as a resource, the fact that you get to keep breathing while doing it, and the sensation that you have less to worry about as a result of all of these things together. Your life is uncomplicated, and you are able to concentrate on the one thing that matters most to you, whatever that may be. The reason for this is because mgtow has the capability to do so that you can enjoy a level of living that is more reasonable and isn't constrained by things like a hefty house mortgage or the cost of sending all 3 of your children to expensive universities. You have the ability to fill this void with purpose by persevering with whatever it is that attracts your attention. More probable it is that you will be disappointed as a result of the increased responsibility you would feel for actually achieving your objective. As a result of being taught that they don't require clear, measurable goals, many women don't establish any for themselves, and this is one of the primary reasons why they are unable to do the things they set out to do. In contrast to their male counterparts, women are able to negotiate partnerships in which they are not always cared for, thanks to their attractiveness. This is not the case for male partners. Even though they have decided not to be married, it does not mean that they will not date other people. Who knows, maybe in a few years they will meet someone else. When it comes to issues with child custody and alimony payments, the government nearly always takes the position of the mother. This is not always the case, but it is the most common scenario. Because of this, his objectives are crystal clear and easily understandable. It's possible that you won't be able to assist him if he gets stuck, since he doesn't have a strategy mapped out for how to evaluate his progress and accomplish his objectives. Despite the fact that I still have a long way to go, I nevertheless wanted to share with you this fundamental reality that I have witnessed regarding the disparities between men and women.